Okay, we're back with AA Just for Today. Again, my name is Dan. I'm your host. I'm an alcoholic. We're talking with Anita, and we're talking about surrender. So I kind of cut you off at the end there, Anita. So why don't we continue on where we started with emotional surrender as well as physical surrender to alcohol.
Mm-hmm. Emotional surrender is something that I really struggle with every day. It's better than it used to be. I left off, talking about this woman I was going to sponsor, and she wanted me to call her every day, and and what that told me too is that I have to let somebody into what's going on inside my brain,
Yep.
and that's a whole form of surrender in itself. That you take the risk that somebody's not going to like me.
Right.
When you found out how awful I am, and all the lies that Satan tells us, and I
Yep.
tell myself about who I am and the way I protect myself, because I don't want to look like I'm flawed. And it's funny because, when we're drinking, how do you hide that,
Yeah, exactly.
As I'm,
The
throwing up in
muzzle's
the
off.
corner,
The muzzle is off.
Yeah. But it was really hard to let this woman into, my life. And she taught me very well, I would say, too, that I took her direction. The program talks about suggested program, but I always say that our suggestions in AA are like when you're getting ready to jump out of an airplane with a parachute on, they suggest you pull the ripcord.
Yes.
You don't have to. You can flat and smash on the ground.
Make a barbecue pit in the ground.
Yeah, that's right. But, I had to learn to take direction, and it's hard. At Northeastern University that I went there because my father was a 35-year tenured professor.
Yeah.
My grandfather was dean of students.
That's my dad's alma mater, too.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
It's a beautiful school, but
Absolutely.
It's like, I came from a family of intellectuals, and you didn't give up.
Right.
You read another book.
Yep.
You thought of another idea, and you didn't tell anybody your secrets. And you didn't follow direction. And
And
I
you
had
never
to learn.
showed anybody that you were weak.
That's right.
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
you talk about your emotions or anything that has to do with your emotions, you're weak. And that's the way it was in my house.
Yeah.
It was, we don't talk about those things. I said, well, what am I supposed to do with them then? Just
Yeah.
keep them.
Yeah. Yeah. And and if you were weak, my father was an alcoholic and a drug addict, and, it was just an insane home, and you didn't want to be weak. It
Right.
was not to your benefit to
You
be
face
weak.
the wrath.
And, but I learned to surrender my life to my sponsor. And until and what's the paradox here is I was a Christian. I was in a worship team singing for Jesus every Sunday, and totally angry at God, not understanding what real surrender means.
Not having his love and joy inside you.
Not having the love and joy. I was faking it a whole, 5 years of that early sobriety. But I believe this woman knew what she was talking about, and I was finally willing and ready to surrender. And all she ever gave me were the steps through that big book. And the whole purpose of that is to introduce you to God.
Yep.
In a different way than the Bible does, but I've done studies since then, and really those steps are right out of the Bible.
Absolutely. I have the Serenity Bible, and it shows in the margins where all the steps come from.
Right, right.
So
it reintroduced me to God, and my Savior in another way, and I was able to then realize that I have to surrender to God, not just human beings. Really do have to surrender, and that means that it's not always going to necessarily be my way.
well, humility doesn't you don't come up with it. It comes down on you. You are humbled, and I, again, we talked about pain earlier. I was humbled, literally, physically, emotionally, brought to my knees, not all at once, but brought to a realization that my way of thinking and doing things had come to an end, that I was at the end of me, and I needed a different path.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's so true. And then to find this path that has all the answers to all of my problems.
Yep.
And it's really very simple. And that's what was so difficult for me to surrender, because how can it be that simple? You just get on your knees and you ask for help when you begin your day, and you take accountability for your actions, and you say you're sorry when you've made a mistake, and then you try and help another alcoholic. I mean, it's just this pattern of living that really is very simple. I just like to complicate everything.
Well, when you're told in this country, and especially in the way I was brought up, is that, you have to be perfect. And you know what? How can you be perfect when God made you imperfect? Gave you a sin nature. You're going to make mistakes. Like I say, you're going to fall and get mud up your nose. But that's how you learn. That's how you learn. And I was a stubborn drunk, and I only drank for 12 years heavily. And that's long enough, grant you. But it was, I had to be beaten upon the skull many times before my ears opened. They were full of lead. So.
Yeah, it's so true. And that's the way I always have to come to the next phase of my recovery. There's someone in the program that says, the recovery is just in levels and stages. And sometimes I hit a little plateau, and I get to just kind of glide along, okay,
Yeah.
Those times don't last very long, and I don't think God wants to leave me in too many plateaus because I'm not growing.
Right.
And I'll tell you, but every time I get to that new phase, I'm hanging on by my fingernails, and I don't understand why I don't get it quicker.
Yeah,
well, I
right.
guess I do get it quicker.
Why am I going through this, Lord?
Why am I going
Why?
through this again?
Why me?
Just give up and do what you have to do, and that's the thing about surrender is somewhere in the back of my mind I think surrender means I take my hand, I let it go, and God's just going to fix me. And that's generally not the way it is. Usually surrender is, okay, what is the next piece of footwork I have to do?
Yeah, what will you have me go through now?
Mm-hmm.
And I used to find myself going through the same problem over and over again, and I figured out why is because I wasn't getting it. I wasn't getting the lesson from that experience that I was supposed to get because I kept avoiding the truth, what to be the absolute truth, and you could be deathly afraid of what that truth is, but once you realize what it is and you face it and you can admit it, it's like saying, here I am and all my disgustingness or whatever, or all my fallibility, and you have to accept me this way because that's the way I am, and I don't have a problem with it anymore because a lot of my problems are internal, and I make these little pimples into these big mountains. So, and it's what I do with it. God will never give you anything that you can't handle, and He'll never tempt you beyond what you can handle. It's when it goes beyond that, it's when I push it there,
right,
or I do something to, my arrogance pushes it too far.
Right.
Instead of just saying you're right, I screwed up, and that's it. So.
Yes, and that's it. The easiest thing in life is just to admit defeat. And I keep trying to, do anything but that. And I realize that the easiest road is to just do that.
Yep.
And life becomes very simple after that. And the load is easy.
Well, I think even in the end, it's like I can beat alcohol. I'm not an alcoholic. I can beat it. I can beat it. And surrender is, you win. I can't beat you. So therefore, I'm not going to fight with you anymore. I'm leaving you. Do you understand? If you're going to fight, it's going to be all by yourself because I'm not playing with you anymore. And that surrender and it is the beginning of saying, I realize that this isn't this thing that I'm involved in. This alcohol thing is just not for me, and it's okay. So
definitely true.
Yeah. Well, I want to say thank you to Anita for sharing her life and experience and her thoughts and prayers with all of you, and it has been great talking to you, Anita. And if you want to share any milestones, you said 16 years.
16 years of sobriety, and it's beginning my new year because I got engaged to someone last fall, before Christmas. So I'm getting married.
Awesome.
And hopefully August 4th is the date we're looking at, and it's God gives you a new day every day.
Yep.
And if I just wake up and look out and see, what is the new day, in store, and then humble myself to think that it's not about me, it's about how I'm going to serve the Lord.
Yep.
And get out of myself, that I just can't believe after what I've been through in my life that, I've got this opportunity again. And it's a beautiful thing to go into new life. And thank you for having me.
That's awesome. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sharing, and may God bless you in your walk and in your new marriage. And thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, we'll be back.